Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Jess here, and today I want to talk to you about the iPhone 17 Pro. So I've been using this phone since it was released about 7 weeks ago, and I have some thoughts ranging from its design through to battery and charging. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the video. First thing that I want to talk to you about is the design itself. So we have seen a design change for the first time in quite a while on this 17 Pro. So we now have what they're referring to as a camera plateau, which is more spread across the back of the width of the phone, a little bit like the Google Pixel with its visor, but it still keeps a very iPhone look. The other changes that we've seen is that we've now moved from titanium back to aluminium. And I think the reason behind this is for the vapor chamber, as I will talk about later, but also it's lighter. So I've seen a big difference compared to my 16 Pro. It's a lot lighter in hand and feels a little bit more comfortable, if I'm perfectly honest. So the other things that you will notice is that I went for the Cosmic Orange. So this is the brand new colorway that we have this year, which is a nice change from the more bland colors that we have got from Apple in recent years. It is a lot nicer in person. It's more of a copper orange than a bright orange, so that's a really nice touch as well. And they're really the visual changes that you can see on the phone itself. It's nice to see that change, but like I say, it still feels very much like an iPhone, and I'm not sure the design change is as dramatic as I thought it would be when I got the phone in hand. Moving on to the next area that I really want to talk about, and probably the area that I have noticed the most in this new phone, and that is the display that we now have on here. So we are now up to 3000 nits of brightness, which means that when you're outdoors, you are going to be able to see the screen a lot better than you have on previous models, especially when it's direct sunlight. I was going out last year with my 16 Pro, and there was times where I was having to squint and, alter the way that I was looking at it to actually see what was on the screen. This summer, or well, summer's over, but with this phone, I haven't really had to do that. That extra brightness has made such a big difference. You've also got the anti-reflective coating that is on here, which also plays its part here. I don't feel that it's quite as good as what the Samsung S25 Ultra has got on it, but it does make a difference, and you can tell there is less glare. You are still going to get some, but it's a lot less than it has been previously. And then we'll come to the Ceramic Shield 2. So this claims to be 3 times better scratch resistance. So I've actually not had a screen protector on this. Usually tend to put one on straight away, but I decided this time around for some reason I wasn't going to. And I haven't noticed any scratches on my screen, and no micro scratches or anything. I am quite careful with my phone, but still I'm really impressed that there's no scratches so far, to the point where I'm considering not bothering putting one on. So moving on to a topic that a lot of people get excited about, and that's the battery life and charging. So this year's model has a bigger battery. So let me just want to get the exact numbers for you here, so I've got them on my notes. So the battery is this year a 3988 milliamp battery, and that's with the physical SIM slot, excuse me. If you are in the US or a region that doesn't have a SIM slot, you are going to get a slightly bigger battery, and that maxes out at 4252 milliamp battery size. I find that the battery is brilliant on this. My 16 Pro was not great, but I put that down to running a beta. On this, I'm getting 2 days easily with moderate screen time, moderate usage. I can get to the end of the day and I've still got about 40%. I'm not even charging it every night anymore. I used to put it on charge every night, whereas now I'm kind of going, well, even if I get up in the morning, I can put it on charge, because we've now got that faster charging as well from a wired and wireless. So, I can pop it on the charger and, within half an hour, I'm up to 50% battery, which is fine because I'm generally going to be at my desk, so I can charge it even more, or in the car, so I put it on my wireless charger. So that's been a bit of a game changer, I feel. So the battery life and the charging that we're getting this time round, still not as quick as some on the charging front, but definitely a marked improvement. Moving on to cameras, I'm not going to talk massive about this because it's not really something that I go into too much detail. So I'm going to cover off the things that I've noticed and have made the biggest difference for me, and that is the improvements to the front-facing camera that we've seen this year. So we now have a 18 megapixel front-facing camera with center stage. You've now got this square sensor, so it can extend to a widescreen kind of version when you're doing those selfies, so you can get more people in and you get a bit more, in your shot, which I think is a really great improvement. I've used it more than I've ever used my front-facing camera over the last few weeks, and I think it's a really good improvement that we're seeing in that space. All of the rear cameras are now 48 megapixels, so you've got that lovely array of shots that you can get on all three of the cameras now, which is brilliant. They've always been good, but obviously this is a slight improvement. And from a video perspective, it's still brilliant. You now have Apple Log 2, which I think is geared more to content creators and people who like to edit their videos. So, if you're shooting in Apple Log, it gives you better dynamic range and allows you to do that color grading. In general, the camera is brilliant. I've always been a real big fan of the Apple cameras, and this year is no different. Next up is performance. So the performance on these phones has always been brilliant, but obviously we've now got a new chip this year, which is the A19, and it is lightning quick, or at least it seems to me. No lagging, breeze through. It's great for streaming. It's, I don't game, but I would imagine that it's pretty good for gaming. And one of the reasons around that is that we now have the new vapor chamber, which is in this phone. It's the first, I think, that we've seen on a Apple phone. And that vapor chamber is drawing the heat away from that A19 chip, so it is not getting hot. So I've experienced no heating up on this phone, apart from when I first set it up. And I experienced that on every phone that I've used and set up. The first few hours, it was always a little bit toasty, but for using it for anything else, I haven't seen any real heat come out of this. So the improvements they've done by adding that vapor chamber, and part of the reason why it's designed like this, I believe, is to get the most effectiveness out of that vapor chamber. So that is going to add to the performance. So wrapping it up, what do I think about the 17 Pro? I think it's a great phone. I think it's nice to see a bit of a change. The design, the look of the phone. I think it's definitely more functionality over the aesthetics. I think they've added some really good bits in there, specifically around the display, the vapor chamber, and the battery. So they're making improvements in that space, but it still feels very much iPhone. It doesn't feel to me like it's that big of a aesthetic change, even though it is quite a leap. But yeah, would I recommend that you upgrade? I think if you are coming from, as always, a version, say the 14, then yes, I think you are going to see a lot of change and get a lot of benefit from upgrading to the 17 Pro. If you're on a 16 or a 15, you might want to hold out for another year before you make the change. But I upgrade every year. I'm an Apple fangirl, if you want to call it that. So I'm always going to upgrade. But I would say if you are looking to save a little bit of money and you've already got 16, then maybe hold out. But that's it from me today. So thanks very much for watching. And if you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a thumbs up. And also, why not subscribe to the channel? It really helps me out. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.